Hi, this is Chris Long, President of the Ohio Christian Alliance, and with me today is the Chairman of 60 Plus Association, Jim Martin, and of course, legendary singer Pat Boone. And they're in town for the senior games that are going on right now in Cleveland, and we're pleased to have you gentlemen and all the senior folks that are here participating in these senior games. And really, it's a phenomenal event. In fact, we talked about a gentleman who is pole vaulting. Yeah. And what age is he doing this?
My age, 79.
Incredible.
Pole vaulting. And I think there may be a lady, even older, doing some pole vaulting. But I'm telling you, Jim and I, we're just glad to be anywhere.
Well, really, that's incredible that he's pole vaulting at that age. You know, many high schools don't even have pole vaulting anymore. When I was in junior high and high school, we had pole vaulting. I asked my boys, they said, yeah, you have to be certified for that because it's a pretty dangerous sport, actually. It can be.
The last time I tried it in high school, you know, you stick that thing in the ground and go up, and mine stayed up, and they left me there overnight. And no, it can be dangerous, I know.
Well, you're here to participate in the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. Jim, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, our team is the Virginia Creepers. And by the way, we used to shuffle, now we creep, someone said. But this is the 75 to 79 group. And this is an eye-opener for seniors all over the country playing basketball at our age. Talking about pole vaulting, though, one of our basketball players, Dallas Chestnut, got the silver medal today in pole vaulting.
Yeah.
He's
Wonderful.
79 years old, soon to be 80. But look, it's a lot of
If he
fun.
could do that on the basketball court, we'd really be somewhere.
Yes.
He can't use the pole
He
on the
could
court.
dunk the ball.
Well, you had your practice session today, and I'm hearing that your opponents saw you play. They're pretty worried about competition with you gentlemen tomorrow.
His three-point, his two-handed set shot, he's lethal. He really is.
The old-fashioned set shot. But let's talk about a couple of issues that do affect senior citizens besides having the fun. And don't get me wrong, we play this game seriously. We play it for fun, but we play it seriously. Competition, no matter what age you are, you like to compete.
Yes.
Yeah, which is healthy and good.
Yeah.
It is.
Good for you.
And you're an inspiration to young people. You know, as they turn 50 or they turn 55 and they're thinking, well, you know, is that the end? And look at you gentlemen, and I mean, we have to run to catch up with you, really. I mean, you're doing great. Last month you were in Northeast Ohio with the softball tournament of seniors, and they really play a competitive level of softball, and so we're looking forward to the games tomorrow. We're glad you're here.
Well, not only the basketball, in fact, our manager, our captain, Dale Wilson, who is our coach and our captain, he plays on a softball team also. So, yeah, we stay active, and we do look out for seniors on Capitol Hill, though. That's what the 60 Plus Association does it. We're in our 20th year. We're the counter, if you will, the AARP. And quite frankly, nothing wrong with the AARP. They come from a very liberal position. That's fine. We come from a more conservative.
Politically,
And
They
thank
sell
God
a lot
for
of
it.
products, but they made over $600 million last year on the backs of seniors. We're selling a philosophy. Less government, less taxes, and it adheres to the Constitution. When you make over $600 million in profit as a nonprofit, I still haven't figured that one out yet, but seniors are coming to the 60 Plus Association now in droves. Pat, I had an 80-year-old lady recently said, Jim, come down to North Carolina, we want to have a bonfire. We're going to burn our AARP cards. And I said kind of flippantly, I said, well, that might be a fire hazard. Perhaps you shouldn't do that. Perhaps why don't you slice them in half and mail them back in? And I said, by the way, use their envelope. They'll have to pay postage. I saw her a month later. Mr. Martin, I did you one better. I sliced it in half. I mailed each half back in two of their envelopes. They had to pay double postage.
And they're so rich they didn't even notice.
Yeah.
And because unfortunately, they spend a lot of those profits supporting things that really aren't good for seniors and that seniors don't want because of the political advantage. And again, we're not trying to be super critical of an organization I've been a member of for a lot of years, and that's AARP. They do good things for people, but they do have a profit motive and a political bent that needs to be taken into consideration. That's what we do. We keep our goals so simple. We make sure, are doing our best to make sure, that Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security stay alive, because actually at this point the funds have been used fraudulently and unconstitutionally, and we want to make sure that those who paid into these programs get the benefits out, and that we abolish the death tax.
Yes.
Not just whittle it down. We think that after you've paid your taxes and put some money aside, or have a home or a business, and you have the poor judgment to die, that the government shouldn't step over and just take half of it away from you after you've already paid tax.
Yeah.
It's not theirs to do that with, but they do it. So we feel like we need to abolish what we call the death tax.
And Jim, we were able to do that right here in Ohio.
Right.
The Ohio estate tax
Yes.
finally was sunsetted in January this year as Governor Kasich signed into law. Our organization surveyed candidates over the years on the estate tax, and finally we were able to get it done to end Ohio's estate tax. Now we would like to partner with you to end the federal estate tax. It's really a burden on families. It's a burden on
It is.
farms. It's really a tax that shouldn't be. Tell us about its inception, World War I.
By the way, it does cut across philosophical lines, liberal, conservative. I got to make this comment. Oprah Winfrey, years ago on her show, she said, wait a minute, I pay 50% while I'm alive? You mean after I pass away, Uncle Sam, the first claimant in line, we say he's not even a blood relative. We
That's
think
right.
that's wrong.
Yeah.
But she says, wait, when I pass away, they can take up to 55%. After I pass away, I want to leave that to my nieces, nephews, and so forth. She said, I find that irritating, to say the least. They went on commercial break, came back. The guy said, you ought to start a foundation. I predicted then, I went down and testified in North Carolina, there will be an Oprah Winfrey Foundation. Not too long after that, there it was. Who can blame her? She wanted to have some say-so over what happened to her assets.
And with every
after
right
she
to
passed
do it,
away, you see.
yes.
But going back to the tax, we call it it was a temporary tax imposed to help finance World War I. Well, the only thing still alive from World War I is that tax. So we're saying it's time to really get rid of it, and that's what we've been doing for these 20 years now. at
Well,
the
if you
60
use the
plus
same aggression that you do on the softball field and the basketball court, I'm sure you're going to get it done, and we're going to have a lot of folks partner with you. But your message of speaking to seniors on conservative issues really resonated with the people here in Ohio last year during the election cycle. You brought the bus, you toured Ohio, and you had great crowds that came out to hear what you had to say as an alternative to liberal ARP and their message of what they were saying. You brought a conservative message, and that really resonated with people here in Ohio.
We did, but like Pat said a minute ago, we work with the AARP when we can. I've testified with an AARP vice president on scamming seniors. That's a huge problem for seniors.
Yeah.
Mainly, so many of them stay at homes, and they don't have a lot of relatives now. They get a phone call, they're lonely.
Yeah.
And they get scammed a lot of times. So that's one opportunity we had to work with
that's
them. Let's
good.
go back one more point on the death tax. In Ohio, you've gotten rid of it. Only about a dozen states still have it because it's not a revenue raiser, it's a loser.
Yeah.
If you leave the money where it belongs with the rightful heirs, they'll either invest it in existing businesses or invest in start-up new business. I'll never forget Governor Pataki, when he was governor of New York some years ago, he was trying to get it lowered, the death tax, if you will, in New York to try to keep them there. He was up in Albany trying to work it. No, some of the guys know we need that revenue in our coffers. Pataki made a great line. He said, look, our seniors aren't moving to Florida and Arizona just for the sunshine. They were leaving because Florida and Arizona don't have an estate tax.
Right.
Yeah.
They were moving out of there. He was trying to keep them home. So
Same problem we had here in Ohio.
in Ohio,
The
exactly.
estate tax, and we have an income tax here. The governor's trying to address that, but people were moving out of state because, quite honestly, they wanted to leave something to their children and their grandchildren, and the state was coming in and taking it. So to do that on the federal level as well would be a real relief to a lot of people.
Well, we've been at it for about 20 years. I get credit for naming it the death tax. Ronald Reagan, to his credit, truth be told, he called it that. But even before Reagan, it was called that years and years ago. But quite frankly, we've come a long way. And people say, why do you call it that? I said, what triggers it to pay it? Nothing. Of course, you don't live forever, do
Yeah.
we? But the fact is, it's one of the most misunderstood taxes around. It is a confiscatory tax, if you will, 55%. What you've worked for all your lives, and then Uncle Sam wants to swoop in.
And it's one more symptom of the idea that so many politicians have, that government has a right to your money. That you only have a right to keep part of what you earn. I mean, that really grates against the spirit of independence. And it's for them to say we have the right, in the state or the federal government, to take half of what you have earned. You may have to sell your farm, your business, or borrow money to pay your tax because somebody died. That's wrong.
It is, and that's what the founders put in the Fourth Amendment, to be secure in your person, in your property, in your papers. And this is why they put together the Fourth Amendment. They wanted to guarantee that there would be this kind of security, and yet the state violates that by going in and this unfair estate tax. While a man dies, the last thing he's going to see is the government coming in and taking half of his estate. And that's not right. And I'm glad you're bringing attention to it, Jim. You're a very familiar face on Capitol Hill. Everyone knows you up there. You live in Virginia, and you make many trips over the Hill. Tell us about that, with meeting some of the members on the Senate and the House side.
I meet with, someone said, it's like, I've been in town 50-some years. I went there as a reporter when John F. Kennedy was in the White House. I covered that tragic moment in our nation's history. It's like sitting on a park bench. You sit there long enough, everybody at the mall you'll meet them. So I've met just about everybody. But one other point on the estate tax, it's not a Republican effort to reduce taxes. That is a fallacy. Democrats have started coalescing around this. We had 40-some Democrats vote for repeal a couple of years ago, 8 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. So when they say it's a tax cut for the rich, nonsense. The rich don't pay it. They set up trusts and foundations. And who can blame them for that, whether it's Oprah Winfrey's or Ted Turner's or the fellow that Microsoft owner, and folks like that. But when 8 members of the Congressional Black Caucus vote, why? Because they know it impacts minority-owned businesses. They're certainly not going to vote a tax cut for these rich millionaires. Minority-owned businesses are impacted heavily because they haven't got the first and second generation accumulation of wealth and what have you. And so we've come a long way there. When you get 8 members of the Black Caucus to say, hey, this is not a tax cut for those rich guys up on Wall Street, whoever they happen to be, impacts minority-owned businesses. So we made a lot of gains. We're going to repeal it by 2017, I think.
2017. We have a goal.
Yep.
Yes, we do.
I'm not going to retire until then.
And I want to be playing basketball then.
And we believe you will, sir.
To dream the impossible dream.
Okay.
Well, Jim, it's been great visiting with both of you here today. We're excited about seeing you compete on the floor tomorrow, and you have some great men here that are going to be with you. And again, the competition's worried already to see what they've seen in your practice place, so we're going to be rooting you on tomorrow. But tell folks how they can learn more about the 60 Plus Association.
www.60plus.org. That's 60plus.org. Our national headquarters is in Alexandria, Virginia, just across the river, the Potomac River, down in Washington, D.C.
Well, and we're pleased to partner with you in this state, with our organization. And your message is resonating with seniors today. They want to hear what you're having to say. And they want another voice out there, not just to run along liberal lines, but they want the conservative voice, and we thank you for it.
Both voices are needed.
God bless you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.